Okay, welcome everyone. We are now going to get started with today's presentation on SharePoint time tracking, and we will now begin. Okay, so we're going to do some quick intros and ground rules before we jump into the main content. I first wanted to introduce myself. I'm Will Cooper. I am a SharePoint solutions developer. I work a lot in the Microsoft 365 space. And just to tell you a little bit more about myself, I run a YouTube channel called SharePoint Smart. And you can search and find that pretty easily in YouTube. And then also I run my own SharePoint platform, which is SharePoint Dashboards. And in fact, I'm going to provide an additional presentation when we get done with our main presentation today. So if you want to learn about that, that will be after the 30-minute mark. Just to tell you about Infowise, we're about making it simple and easy in terms of using our tools. We really want to make them accessible to everybody. And also, we're all the time wanting to improve. We want to continuously improve our product, the functionality of the tools, and just keep making it better. Ultimate Forms is a full solution tools platform. It allows you to build out all kinds of different business processes and solutions. So we're seeing one example of that today, but there are many possibilities. These tools deploy 100% in your SharePoint user interface. You don't have to use any external tools or anything like that. And one thing that's great, it is a no-code solution, no programming required, which is nice. Some other ground rules before we get into it. I do want to mention we are going to give away an embroidered Infowise shirt towards the end. That's for people living in the United States. So we'll do a drawing for that if you stick around there. And as I mentioned, I'm going to do an additional presentation after the 30-minute mark if you want to learn about dashboards in SharePoint and charting and stuff like that. All right, so let's get going. Ultimate Forms is available both for on-premise SharePoint and for SharePoint Online. I'm going to be showing you solution in SharePoint Online today, but all the concepts and tools I'm showing you, these are things that you can also do in your on-premise SharePoint environment. And I didn't mention, by the way, I apologize. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, we do want to get those from you. And the way you can do that is by using the questions interface and go to webinar. So please do use that and post your questions there. Please be patient if we don't get to you right away. A lot of times we'll catch up and run through those questions towards the end of the presentation. So that's how you can reach out to us. All right, so this is how I think of SharePoint out of the box. It's a great platform, but it's a bit bare bones. Maybe it doesn't have all the things that you'd like it to have in order to build the solutions that you need. When you add in these tools, this is really what Ultimate Forms brings to the table. It brings you a comprehensive tool set to build out solutions. So it just makes SharePoint really awesome and lets you do all the things that you need to do. All right, let's focus on time tracking now. So before we jump to SharePoint, I'm going to cover 10 key concepts. These are things I'd like you guys to look for during the presentation. These are aspects that I believe should be in any good time tracking solution. These are goals of what you want to have. First thing is personalized dashboards. Obviously, each person needs to keep up with their own time, so they need to be able to go to a view which just shows their information. So that's certainly a key requirement. We know that we're going to need a repeating table in our SharePoint form for individual time entries. So I'll show you how that works. We need to have automation going on. Particularly, we want to have auto-generated timesheets. It would be silly to ask each of our employees to go in and manually create their timesheet each week. We should be able to automate that. So, each Sunday, we want a timesheet created for each employee. We certainly are going to need email notifications. We need to nudge employees and let them know that they need to submit their timesheets and that they get in on time so that we have complete information. So undoubtedly, email notifications are going to be a part of the solution. Reporting In terms of the output, you're going to want to be able to do summary reporting either for an individual employee or by particular categories of work, or your customers, if you're billing to customers, that type of thing. Reporting is going to be a key part of it. We want to make sure that's handled well in the solution. Key progress indicators, KPIs, that's the buzzword you hear a lot. We want to see visuals that help us understand the data, visual indicators. So that's a big part of the dashboard. So I want to make sure that's in there as well. We need to make sure we have good output to PDF and Excel because we may need those printouts. We want to store them for record keeping. We may need to distribute that to somebody else or feed it into another system. So getting good output from our system is important. We want to make sure there's good instruction to our staff, and a good way to handle that is through embedded help information, in particular pop-up help, like you see in this example on the screenshot shown. And then we want to have automatic calculations of totals. So naturally, you're going to put time entries into your system, and we want that to roll up and give us grand totals, things like that. So that's for sure going to be a part of it. And then also, we want to include search functionality. Generally, that's helpful and useful in just about any kind of a tool, but we may need to look through historical information. We want a good way to dig through those little time entries to find something, you know, if we don't see the timesheet that we expect, that type of thing. So search, always an important function. All right, we're going to jump right to SharePoint now and get to the fun stuff. So I have the SharePoint Online site. And I do want to mention, by the way, we are going to post a recording of this session to YouTube later today. And even better, we're going to give you this template. In the SharePoint, in the Ultimate Forms screen, we have a templates section, and you can download the exact thing that I'm showing in today's demonstration. And you can get that along with your Infowise trial. So that's really cool. You're going to actually be able to lay your hands on this and try all the stuff that I'm showing you in this presentation. All right, we're going to first start by going from a user perspective. So what I want to do is demonstrate to you how it works as a user first, demonstrate some of the features and functionality. And then what we'll do, I'll circle back and show you how the configuration works and how you're able to customize or change that according to your needs. So what we're seeing on the screen in front of you is a dashboard, and it is the members of a team, our team for Infowise. And this is how they would see their timesheets and interact with that. I'm here at the bottom. I've already filled in some time, so we'll just start right there. I'm going to click this edit button, and we'll go right to the timesheet. Simple, easy to understand concept. These are weekly timesheets, so we're having the start date be on Sunday and the end date be on the Saturday. And then it's got my name at the top, and then I just line item enter. Ease of use is really important. We want to make sure that this is streamlined, right? Because this is going to be something people are doing all the time. I'm sure most of you guys would agree, nobody loves doing time tracking, and it's always a challenge to get that done. So that being said, we better make sure that the tool we provide for that purpose is just as simple as it possibly can be to use. Okay, so I'm going to just put something in. This is a line item entry mode. Put in my webinar presentation. Okay, and I just have these simple fields to fill out. It defaults to today. I click on the date. I put the number of hours. And then I've got a category drop down. And notice I've got kind of these color boxes. So we're kind of working with some visuals, that type of thing. And I'll put this under account management just for arbitrary reasons. So I've got that line item entry. I'll go ahead and do another one. Hopefully you notice the time total updated. So I'll do another one, time tracking development. And hopefully what I am showing you is that this is very simple to work with. Not going to be confusing at all for any member of your staff to use this. Boop, there's the new time total. You can see it's updating as I go. Okay, so I can work on this throughout the week. And by default, the timesheet is status in progress. All right, so that bounces me back up to my dashboard. And what you see here is a little pie chart indicator, and it's showing me a percentage. And the percentage, it's based on this. The time total is 24.5 hours right now, based on what I just entered. And in this case, what we're tracking is for a 40-hour work week. So it gives us an indication, well, how much time entries, are in there for the week. And it's saying I've done 61% of 40 hours are entered for this. So it gives you some idea of how many time entries are in for each of those staff members. And then we're tapping into the profile picture stored in the Microsoft 365 user profile. So that's how you end up with your cool staff pictures. And then we've got the date kind of formatted in a special way, that type of thing. So this all rolls up for us. Another cool feature that's here is I don't even have to go to the form. If I click for details under time, it will accordion out and expand, and it shows me those entries just right from the dashboard. So I have an alternative, easy way to get to that if I want to. I can edit one of those entries if I need to update it, that type of thing. So I can go to the time entry that way as well. So really cool options. What you might also notice in this little pie chart indicator that the pie changes colors depending on certain threshold values, how full it is, so to speak. I'm going to go into Lottie's timesheet, I'll add an entry, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how it changes. I'm going to put in a whole bunch of hours for one, just to demonstrate a concept. I'll put that in for Tuesday. So this was 30 hours long. Plus, okay, now we're up to 40. And what's awesome is this is all real time. Notice I didn't have to update. So see how he was blue before, now it's 100%. So those pies just fill up real time, instantaneously. You don't have to wait for any workflow or anything like that to complete. And so now I've got this nice dashboard. So this is great for management to make sure that people are keeping up and doing their time tracking and entries, and employees see what's going on. It is a little bit of what I call, I guess what's the word for, like, I jokingly call it public shaming, but the point being it's transparent. Everybody's in the same space. So if somebody's slacking, they're going to stand out a little bit. It lights a little bit of a fire under them, which is probably a good thing. You want people to stay on top of this and, not go the whole week without entering any of their time. That would be a bad thing. Okay, so other aspects we know that we need to accommodate for. Okay, well, at some point this has to get submitted, right? So at the end of the week, we're going to need an email notification, and then they're going to submit, right? So when you go to submit, there's this nice shiny green button. Click submit, and we have a little message. Are you sure? Have you completed all the time entries and you're ready? Okay, so it gives a little double confirmation. It changes the value to submit, and it will change some properties in the form for us. So what we have is what you describe as a dynamic form. It's a form that changes according to certain conditions. Notice that I can't change the time entries on this now. This is a submitted timesheet. Obviously, I don't want the time entries to be changed. There's a message in here that tells you that. And it tells you if you want to see the time entries, you can do a printout. So we're changing how the form works depending on its status. Another very cool thing I can do is that PDF printout. And I can do that by just checking next to the item, clicking print, and it's going to produce this PDF output for me. I can print it in all kinds of different outputs, but I might want to keep these in a library somewhere. So I can click that, and that'll spit it out to PDF for me, and I'm good to go. As I'm sure anybody's done time tracking or managing of that knows, you have trouble with people getting their stuff in on time and that type of thing. And I'll tell you a little bit about how the system is set up to handle that. All right, so let's go into some of the configuration now. And you're going to see some buttons and menus that appear with the Ultimate Forms tools. And so that's where I am. I'm to that design screen, and we're going to go to email notifications because I do have an automatic email notification for this. And it's to remind people to turn in their timesheet. So it's pretty simple. Setting up the role for the email. I just pick the column employee and it will send them an email, and I have it set up according to a particular role. And what I said is, I want this email to go out 8 hours before the date, time stamp, and end. I did this because the end date is Saturday and times store with the midnight value by default. So basically I'm saying do that 8 hours before midnight. So 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, out goes the email. And then I have another convenient setting, which is repeat every however often. And so I'm going to keep nudging them according to what they're doing. Now, also, I need another rule in here. So I'll set a condition and I'll say when I only want to do this when status equals in progress, right? That means they haven't submitted it. Notice I didn't have to do any coding or anything. I'm just using drop downs, that type of thing. Go ahead, save that. And then we need the content of the email, right? What's actually in the body of the email? That's through these email templates. I'll show you how that works. So I go to timesheets due. Hello, employee. Okay, so you see these references in square brackets. Basically, you're inserting the field values. Wherever you see that, it's just inserting that dynamic information. Your timesheet is due. Please review your activities, enter your time, then submit. And we have a little gotcha in here. It says, please note, your timesheet will be automatically submitted if you have not submitted by the end date. So, they can't be slackers, right? So if they don't enter time, they're going to have a messed up timesheet, and of course that's going to be embarrassing to them. So there's some incentive for them to avoid that. Okay, so that's the email content. That rule will make sure everybody gets those emails. But what's nice, since I added that condition on there, it's not going to annoyingly email the people who did already submit. So for the folks who are on time, getting their timesheet submitted on time, they will not be bothered by that email. All right, let's see if we got something in here. There's the auto submit. The auto submit also is timer based. And we said basically on Saturday at noon, if the status isn't submitted, set it to submitted. Actually, I missed the condition there too, but it's good because I want to demonstrate that. So if I say status is not equal to submitted, then do this action, set the status to submitted. So that's the auto submit functionality. The color choice for the status, I have icons set up for that for in progress and submitted. Those are really easy to pick. You have up to 250 icons here you can pick from. So you can find meaningful little icons that you can put in your UI quite easily. All right, let's bounce back out to the dashboard for a second. I'll show you some other functionality. We talked about reporting. Reporting is important to us. What can we do with that? Okay, so we have this tool. A really common thing we would do is we want to do reporting based on those different categories. Maybe I want to know, how much work has been done related to that category project management. So I just come in here and I can update these values and it'll do a search for me, that type of thing. Okay, and then also you can do convert to Excel. This will actually output an Excel that'll dump that out for me. And then we can do search also. Maybe I'm just doing more of like a wide open search, that type of thing. So I can come in here and just type sales, search, and it'll show me the results. Or I can search for certain words. It'll search for all across those terms. Or maybe I want to search for a certain date. Maybe I just want the time entries that are on February 10. So I'm going to go to advanced and I can say, go ahead and just give me the entries where it's just February 10. So this is more what you call an advanced search. So hit search. And there you go. Those are the ones just on February 10th. So we've got kind of a nice, simple, easy to use search tool. And you could see where ultimately you have thousands of time entries over the use of the system. So these search and reporting tools are going to really provide a major benefit. Okay, so now we're going to go and look more into the configuration. We'll go to the time tracking list. Okay, so all of this is done through the design setup. Actually, I'm going to go to the timesheets list. I'm going to show you how Form Designer works. That's really pretty much one of my favorite parts of the overall tool. So you go in here, you go to Form Designer, and this is where you do all your layout. Whoops, I'm in the wrong thing. Okay, I got to go to Time Sheets. Now I'll go to Form Designer, and that's our main timesheet form. So I'll show you some of the configuration rules and how those work. First thing, we can do default, so we can make the we can make it where the current user default is defaulted, so they don't even have to fill that in. And then we have to auto-generate those timesheets. I need to show that to you real quick. Let me bounce out of the form for a second. So I have a list called employees. And what's going to happen is a set in action on here. It's going to create a timesheet for each of these employees once a week. And that's very easy to set up. I just created this action. And it says create a weekly timesheet for employees. It's going to be time. I said, go ahead and do this for me every Sunday at 10 p.m. And it's a simple create list item action. For any of you guys who use Power Automate or anything like this, this is a lot faster. I can do this configuration setup right inside of SharePoint and be done in really a matter of seconds compared to having to create all those flow blocks and all that type of thing. So it's going to do that once for each employee, and it's really simple. I say for each of the employees in that list, go ahead and set it to their name, this new timesheet, and then the start date will be that current date. We have these functions available, so you can use this today variable. So the start date will be the day it's created on the Sunday, and the end date will be that date plus 6 days. And that's all that you have to do. I don't have to do any time conversions or anything crazy like that. It will do this automatically at 10 p.m. every Sunday night. It's going to make a timesheet for each of those employees. So when they come in to work first thing on Monday morning, their timesheet's already there. They don't create their timesheet. It already exists. They just go in there and add their time entries. Okay, let's go back to the timesheets. So I'll talk more about the Form Designer tool. This is really fun and easy to work with. You can go in here and apply configurations and styles. I want to emphasize once again, no code. I don't have to do any programming, no CSS or anything like that. I'm just picking from color swatches, and I can drag that around to whatever I want. And I can do things like set up little borders and padding and stuff like that. And then I can do this multi-column layout. So I have this container here, and I can do multiple columns as I want. Right now I've got that set to 3 columns, which is how I like it. And then you can do little help bubbles. I have a custom description. I didn't show that to you just yet. And then I can customize when things appear or are hidden. Okay, I'll show you an example of that. Recall that when the timesheet is submitted, I need to hide that. I don't want people messing around with their time entries after their timesheet's done because it's submitted, it's over. We don't need it, we don't want it changing anymore. Okay, and the way that I enforce that rule, I created this permissions rule, and it's on the field, and it just says make this writable if status is not submitted. And then I have another rule that says make it hidden if the status is submitted. So that's making this kind of hidden. And then I basically did the inverse of that for this message. I have this little container block. It's a fragment. And it's going to show this message to me, only when the status is submitted. So that's kind of fun and easy to set up. Let me go back. I'll show you. Yes, I will not save those changes. I want to show you the functionality for the hover help. Okay, so this is the little bubble here. So this is cool because you can do what I call a baked in help, meaning you can have very detailed instructions in your form, no matter how lengthy they are, but they don't clutter your user interface. It doesn't get in the way of the users who already know what to do. So for the people who know what to do, the form's nice and clean. For the people who don't know what to do, I don't have to keep explaining the same thing over again or tell them to go off to some other document. I can give them those nice detailed instructions, and when they ask, I can tell them, oh, just hover over the help bubble in the form. It'll tell you exactly what to do. So that can be formatted. It can look however you want, and you can put that all around your user interface. So really cool part of the functionality. All right. Most important thing for you guys to know is to go ahead and get the trial software. It's free. It's the entire software, and that's how you can download and use this template. If you go out to the InfowiseSolutions.com site, you can go here and just click Try Now for free. You have a couple of options. There is an online trial where you can sign up for a site if you don't have it in your SharePoint environment. But what's better is to go ahead and install the trial in your own SharePoint environment. So just click Install, and then pick what type of SharePoint you are, install from that. That is the most important thing you could do to try this out and be able to access these tools. Once again, as I say, after our session today, I'm going to upload this template. So when you go into the design screen after you have that installed, you can just go here to Install Business Solutions, and we've got tons of templates. So these are ones we've done previously. In fact, you can see the one from last month that I did for dynamic forms, and you're going to see a tile later today for our timesheet system. You can download exactly what I'm showing you into your own SharePoint. You can play around with it and customize it however you want. So that's the most important thing you could do after this. Now, let's go and check. I want to see if there's some questions. And then also, we want to do a drawing for a shirt. So I've been doing all the talking. So if you want, post some questions in there. I'm surprised I didn't see anything, but just let me know anything you have questions about how this is set up, how you can set it up, options for your own time tracking system, anything along those lines. Okay, Ian had a question about the use percentage, how that's built. That is going to be covered in the next part of the presentation. That is a formatting template. That's something that is, it's called JSON formatting. It's something that I'm going to cover in the SharePoint Dashboards presentation. So we'll come to that for those who stay around. Can the data be exported to Excel? Yes, absolutely. When I was in the time reporting screen, there is an option in here that says convert to Excel. So you can do your search like on a particular category, and then basically from there you can then do convert to Excel, that type of thing. How to change the timesheet period from weekly to the 1st to 15th through the end of the month. Okay, those are just custom settings according to whatever your rules are. So in my case, I set up the timesheet start. That can be configured actually in there. So in the timesheet, in this case, it's a weekly timesheet concept. So it's automatically using the start and end date at the beginning and end of the week, but you can configure that to whatever time span you want. In my case, I set up an action to auto-generate those on Sunday nights, but if you want to go to like a 2-week method, you could just change the configuration of the action. It's very easy to work with. There's a question, staff has to be logged in. Yeah, you need to be a SharePoint user. This is for use inside the SharePoint system. You have to have a login to be able to get into that. That's an absolute. How would you include minutes? There's different ways to approach that. In this system, it accounts for, you can do half-hour increments, that type of thing. It allow for, a decimal place, but that's how you would probably do it in decimals. That's always a little bit tricky when you get into that granular time tracking, but at least in the example that I showed, obviously you bake in some instructions in your user interface, but I have this set up to allow for 1 decimal point. But that's kind of generally how I do it. So that's a tricky topic. Every organization's a little different on that front, but In general, that's a number field, and I would just limit the decimal places on that to accommodate for it. All right. How about overtime? Okay, well, you can, so there's questions about how you would customize this according to your needs. So you can set rules and calculations and things like that to account for more concepts. So if you want to add more of your business rules, if you want to account for overtime and do reporting on that, that's something you can add onto the system. So bear in mind, this is by design a simple, easy to use system. It's really a very good foundation and starting point from which you can customize and add your own concepts. So that's not baked into this yet, but very easy to append that type of functionality into this system. All right, let's do this right now, since you guys have been patiently waiting. For anybody who lives in the United States, go ahead and put a number in the question interface, anywhere 1 to 100, and I'm going to go ahead and mail out a shirt to somebody today. Whoever gets close to my number, I'm going to give you a very short time, about 30 seconds, and I'm going to call out a name, and you're going to get a shirt. I'm laughing because one of my customers just entered into that. I'm going to give him a hard time. All right, and a few more seconds, and we're going to name it. 103 is not between 1 and 100, by the way. That was funny. Okay. All right, we've got a winner. Hopefully I don't get this name wrong. Antonio. I don't want to butcher your last name, Antonio. Carotenuto. If you can send me an email to willc@infowisesolutions.com, and I will. I need to get your address, your shirt size, and I will get something mailed out to you today. Congratulations. All right. Last call for questions on the time tracking. Hopefully I made it clear what you need to do. You need to install Infowise if you don't already have it. Once you have installed that in your tenant, it's free, it's easy to set up. You can go to the design screen. You're going to click on install business solutions and webinars. And you're going to click on the very first tile, which will become the time tracking solution. That will download and install that into your own site. And you can play around and practice with it. That's your best steps forward. All right, with no more questions, we're going to jump into round 2. We're going to go on to column and dashboard formatting. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Oh, there's a question about how to prevent a user from creating a duplicate record with the same weight beginning. David, the timesheets are auto-generated. Your employees do not create the timesheets, so you're not going to have to worry about duplicates. You can block creation of that. The only thing they make are time entries. All right, we're going to shift gears. And by the way, if I didn't cover your question enough in depth or anything, please reach out to us. And then I should also mention, you can sign up for a one-on-one web meeting with us, and we're going to be very happy to talk to you. So that was the other button, request a demo. If you've got some specific needs, if you want some help building the solution out, if you just want to have more of a conversation about a specific project you're doing or how our tools work, go to our live demo form. We'll set up a meeting and help you out. All right, we're going to move on to SharePoint dashboards now. Okay, so this is a different tool. This is something you can use to visualize data, and some of the things you saw in that template we're utilizing some of this functionality. So some of you may have heard about column or view formatting in SharePoint Online. It's kind of a newer option. It lets you format columns and data and views into all kinds of interesting ways. And this site is really about allowing you to build visually compelling dashboards in all kinds of different ways. And so that's some of what you see in the slideshow. So when you got to this site, of course, you should click on the Getting Started button, the big green button at the top of the screen. And that will take you to the templates gallery. And on the screen, there's a lot of pictures, and it shows you a preview of different kind of things that you can make. Like Ultimate Forms, the best thing you can do is start with a free trial. Basically, try out the software, play around with it, see how it works, so that you can better understand, and then you can go on from there. So when you get to the screen, you're going to notice there are all these different templates. There's some free templates and pro templates. 16 of these you can use immediately. It doesn't require anything from you except to sign up and get a login to the tool. That's all you got to do. So when you get to this edit button, that's a free template, but you do need to go to the login screen. Just put in your name and your email. We'll shoot you an email back, get you your login, and from that point, you can use this tool. Let me switch over. And that's where you want to begin. So you probably noticed on the timesheet solution, there's a little edit button. That was the first column. You might wonder how that's there and how that works. Okay, so when you get to the template screen, each template screen looks like this. You see a little preview, and it shows you what your button's going to look like in this case. And I can adjust those colors. I could change to a different theme. I can make this look however I want. I could take away the curve on that. I could add a little drop shadow to it. Whatever it is, I just set that up, and then you're going to see this ugly looking code in the bottom of the screen. So what's going on here? Basically, all this stuff is created for you automatically. You never have to change anything in that ever. All you have to do is hit this copy button, and you can just go right back over into SharePoint, and you just paste it in here. So I've got this other SharePoint site, and I will just come over here. And I just go to this, I go to column settings, format this column, and all you have to do is paste. Select, paste. There. Hopefully you notice that the button just changed over to what I had on the first screen. All right, so this is a really simple and good place to start, just with those buttons. And there's lots of buttons that you can use. So when you go back to this gallery screen, you'll see there's all kinds of buttons. There's an email button, there's a button to start a flow, a delete, a view, a hyperlink button, all kinds of buttons you can add into your UI. Everybody has their own taste with colors and font size and all that kind of thing. You can pick whatever icons or colors or anything you want. It's all done through this little configuration buttons, that type of thing. And then you've got other things like you saw in the presentation. Someone asked about the pie chart. How did you do that? Here's the pie chart. It's called pie percent. What's nice is I don't just have to kind of take this one look. I can fiddle around with it. I can make it look however I want to. I can make big giant pie charts. I can have different colors. Maybe I don't want it to change colors. In this case, it's always green. And I can adjust this slider. And I can even use my arrow keys to make it go up and down. So I can really make this look precisely the way that I want before I move it back over into SharePoint. And then all I ever do is hit the copy button and I paste it back over into SharePoint. That's all that you got to do. All right, let's go back out to the gallery. So what kind of options are there? Those are some of the column formatting options. There's a lot of options for indicators, dates, progress bars is always popular. Here's another one that's like a pie chart, but a different kind of a look. You could do this. It's kind of a bar going around the outside with the value. So I can, change how big the center is. All these things are configurable just through drop-down pickers. That's all I'm doing. I'm not writing any code. I don't even have to type anything generally. I can just make little adjustments until it looks just exactly the way that I want it to look. You can see that's a very different look, but that's all just through these configuration settings. So it just shows you different options that you can make. All right, let me bounce back to the gallery. All right, so what are some of the more advanced things that you can do? You can do mapping. That's a very cool one. For those of you guys like Google Maps, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually make Google Maps appear right inside of SharePoint. And all you need is that address. So, once you have a key, which is free to sign up, especially if you have something like locations list or something where you're tracking locations, maybe customers or different things related to your organization's data, you can show little cards here. And if you notice there's a little hover, when I click on it, that'll pop up in the Google map. So this is stuff that really makes your SharePoint environment look a whole lot better, a whole lot more interesting. Probably the most important part of these templates, in my opinion, are the charting options. And for those of you guys out there who either considered or using Power BI, I think you'll probably agree that generally it's a pretty major investment in terms of time and money. It's a pretty heavy platform in terms of charting, and not every organization wants to go down that road. They may want a more lightweight and easy to use option, but still have some nice charts. Everybody likes charts of data. So that's what these options are. So you have all of the conventional things that you're used to. You do bar charts, line charts, things like that, but you really can add polish to it. And what's cool is I see the preview. I know exactly what this is going to look like before I even ever move it over into SharePoint. You might notice there's a gradient background here. So this almost looks like a static image here, but it's not. Everything that you're seeing on there, I can fiddle around with these settings and I can change it real time and see exactly what it's going to look like. You can see there's like a 3D bar height, like an isometric thing. I can just slider that up and down. I can adjust the gradient. So there's a drop down, if you notice that, and I can just keep changing these options until it looks just exactly however I want on my view. And once I have that looking how I want, I can just paste that back over into SharePoint. So let me bounce back SharePoint, and let's see some of those views on that side. Okay, there's the same thing you saw, but it's now over in SharePoint. That literally is being rendered just through this. All it wants is that SharePoint list data, and it's going to change that over into that chart view that I just showed. And you can also take these list views and you can move it onto a page, right? Like you might want to show that on your home page. You can just select the list web part and add that to the page. Because these are Microsoft lists, you can use this also in Teams. You want to show it up there. You also probably have heard a lot of talk from Microsoft about Microsoft Lists. Lists has almost been promoted to a first-class citizen, if you will. It's its own entity. All this formatting works there as well. And you can go for even with more sophisticated concepts. Here's a grouped bar chart, or you might want to stack that instead. So if you want to do something like that, you can do stack bars. Any of these things you can do vertical or horizontal, either way. You can adjust the scale. You might like it to run really wide. You might want to make it more narrow, however you want to do that. Every little tiny aspect of that can be customized. The font sizes, the colors, the borders, the backgrounds, all of that is just fiddling around with these little settings. And you don't have to wonder about what to do. You can just try whatever you want and just keep adjusting that until it looks the way that you want it to look. So you don't have to just take what's given to you. You can apply those settings and get it however you want. Let's go back to the gallery. Okay, so there's a lot of templates. What's nice about this, of course, not all of these things are available in your free templates. The free templates are really just to help you get started and begin to use the tools and learn how it works. But if you do go on and do the pro templates, there's a lot of options. But even before you would make that commitment, you can see exactly how things are going to work ahead of time. So that's really important. So you don't have to, just take a static screenshot or something like that. You can go in here and, check out one of these options and see exactly what it's going to do before you go to that step. Okay, let me go. I think there's some questions in the chat. Okay, there's a question about how do you apply the data for a chart. Okay, it's really easy. There's a drop-down picker that you choose from. Sorry, I gotta find my screen. Got too many screens going. The way you apply the data is you go to the View drop-down, pick Format Current View, select that, and paste. I don't want to paste over this particular one, but that's all you have to do, and then it refreshes and it'll show exactly what you saw on the configuration screen. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Okay, so what's the key thing that you need to do? Key thing is to try it out. It's not fun for me to just sit here and tell you, oh, this is really great. I'd really love you to try it out. That's when you'll start to have fun. You can set the colors and icons to look exactly how you want, start to have some fun with it, and go from there. So all you need to do is just go to the site, and when you get in here, click on one of those free templates, and it's going to show you a little button. It just says free sign up, and you just enter your email, and we'll send you over login, and you can access all those, and those will always be available for you all the time. Another thing, we're going to have a webinar just about dashboards. We're going to go more in depth on some of these topics. That's on March 3rd. So if you get in here and play around with it and you want to start to build more knowledge and learn more how to take advantage of that, you can sign up on our webinar form, and that'll be 2 sessions. You can sign up for a morning session or afternoon session for that, so that you can get a better understanding of those templates and how they work. And if you're interested about pricing and everything, just go to the upgrade screen and click on that. One thing I will mention about that's very cool, with Power BI, they charge for every user who's looking at the charting data. This works in a very different way. You only need to get a license as the person creating the charts and dashboards and elements. You are the only person who needs a license. So if there's just 1 or 2 people in your organization who would ever make these things, that's all that you need a license for. And it's a much more affordable option than that. So this is a very great lightweight option where you can tap into it easily. You don't have to do any extensive training. You don't have to do any code. It's just copy and paste templates and just picking color pickers and drop downs, things like that. So just really simple and easy to use. We're all the time adding to these. All these templates have been added just even within the last year. So right now, we're we have 60 plus odd templates, but there's going to be more than 100 before the end of this year. So the options are just always improving and growing. So that's another cool part about it. Ian was asking about the price for the Pro templates. Just go and click on the upgrade button, and you can go in there. I don't want to focus too much on that in the presentation today because really I would just like you guys to try it first. But if you go in there and click on that button, it'll show you what the pricing is. And if you have questions at that point, you can just use the contact form and do that. There's a question about on-premise SharePoint. I'm glad you asked that. I unfortunately have some bad news on that front. These modern views and JSON formatting and things like that generally are not well supported by Microsoft for on-premise SharePoint. Some of these templates are compatible for on-premise SharePoint, and you're going to see SharePoint 2019 on this. Generally, you need SharePoint 2019 or better, but generally speaking, this overall tool is really supported and geared for SharePoint Online users. So that may be disappointing for some of you guys, but that is the situation. All right, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Hopefully that makes you curious enough that you'd be wanting to go in there and especially take advantage of those free templates. The edit button is probably the one I use more than any other button. I use it almost every single day. So hopefully you can get in there and have some fun with it. And if you have questions on the tool, obviously you can use the contact about that. So that is pretty much what I want to show on that. I will stay on the session and answer questions in chat, but we're going to go ahead and end the recording of the presentation. I'll do that right now, and I'll keep the session going for a little bit, but I'm going to stop my screen share.